Раз. Раз, два, trzy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jenkins doesn't work. You have to fire Jenkins.
the red carpet and all things.
Okay, I guess we can start. Guido, you there? Okay. Okay, thank you for coming. It's very, very nice that we can see you here. I recall some of your faces from the first meetup. It's very, very nice that you came back today. I hope you will enjoy all the sessions today. In the end, we will ask you to fill the survey and let us know what you think about the beer, pizza, and the presentations, so the less interesting parts. And yeah, I would like to present the agenda for today. We'll start with the presentation from our CTO, Peter Binhaus. Then we will have the second presentation about our log storage monitoring stack Azure Plus from Martin Passing, lead engineer for monitoring platform stream in ITPS team. The third one about fancy buzzwords like serverless stuff from Gregor Google, Michał Porosło from IT platform applications. And the last presentation is going to be why to fire Jenkins from your organization from these three folks. And the last, the most interesting part, is going to be socializing until the midnight or even longer. And yeah, as I mentioned, the first presentation is going to be from our CDO, but also my very, very good friend. And let me introduce Peter Binhaus to you, our CTO. Please let us know how it works in Plus, what is our mindset, and why you spent 18 years in our company. Incredible. Yeah, here's the mic.
Thanks. Well, so yeah, again, I can repeat. So thank you very much for the very friendly introduction. Yeah, I believe I was really lucky enough to be the first IT guy at the Plus at the time. Year 1999, 2000 was the time of the .com bubble. Maybe some of you remember this. So lots of companies being founded with some cool business idea, and unfortunately, most of them actually fading pretty fast. And at that time, lots of my colleagues, I was working with a software company at the time, so we were all of the time discussing this in the cafeteria, wherever, what our own idea might be, what we might do to get started in this e-commerce craze that it really was at the time, what we could do, because the technology was just so cool. I mean, everybody went onto the web and did something there, so we needed to be part of that. And yeah, that in a way was my motivation to get started, and maybe just really pertain to what I still need to say tonight. That's just to tell you why I've been stuck with the company for, it's actually 17 and a half years, is that it's always kept interesting. The company has been developing rather rapidly, actually always provided new opportunities for learning and for personal growth. So it wasn't just the company itself was growing, but with the company growing, there were always new interesting challenges that somehow needed to be coped with, that we needed to brace for. And sometimes I jokingly say that my job has always been completely different every 2 years. And in fact, I think there's really some truth to that. Challenges are constantly changing, and I just hope that this is just true for myself, but also with the people who start with the company. And we try to keep things interesting, and this happens almost automatically. We're in a very competitive market. And one of our competitors is definitely Amazon, but there's also quite a few local, even online companies at Europe that are active in the same area that we pet food over the internet, just like we do. And I mean, honestly, really, those guys have really good ideas too, and really good ideas to how to serve the customer better. So yeah, just that stays interesting. And of course, we as IT, I mean, the way that I understand this, are there to best serve our customers through our colleagues, sales marketing guys who know or have a better understanding of what our customers need and want. And we simply need to make this somehow easily available. And now maybe going back a little bit more into this, as I said, I mean, of course, the stuff wasn't a big company right from the start. We always do organically, so we started small. Really, I spent my first 2 days at the company doing what I also started doing when I had my first job as a math student. It was wiring. So I was setting up a network and wiring at that time the barn. So just 10 years before, so that barn still hosted cows, and now we moved in as a company in order to start the bus adventure, and of course nothing was there, really nothing. So I mean, yeah, first 2 days until I had one guy who did it for me, then I came home late at night, all dirty, and my wife asked me, "Are you sure that you picked the right job?" And but there were other things that were different. Of course, we had a small team at the beginning as well, and what's now being often mentioned as a mantra of DevOps, you build it, you run it, was true for me. Like always, I don't know. I always used to work for relatively small companies, or even if I was like active in larger organizations. Somehow I always ended up to be like the fix-it guy who quite often needed to look into something in order to somehow get it going again. But anyway, when I did software development, I always was, even the software company that I just talked about that I was busy with I was always responsible for being making sure that the code that I was producing actually was running stably and reliably in production environment. And of course, when we were, and this was quite a constant in the first 4 years actually, that we were 3 developers at the class. And of course, I mean, what we built, we also ran. So everybody logged into the job server or application server, whatever it was, in order to check if everything fine, memory consumption, whatever. Analyzed our problems ourselves, no problem. And I think at the time we did a good job understanding the still relatively simple business, and also providing them all the solutions that they basically needed, making sure that things ran. But maybe the biggest benefits, the 3 of us already seen this, was that we were able to automate the business. So we were able to produce fantastic things that made some of our colleagues, I have to say, redundant. So simply because we set up good IT solutions, some people simply ran out of work. And I suppose that it's a general tendency that you can see still happening today with the digitalization, and that simply people run out of work, which I believe is usually a good thing, because the kind of work that they run out of is usually repetitive and boring. So better have some machine take care of that. So they can use their brain for something that's more exciting, more creative, and yeah, just nicer as a human to you. And I think there's still a lot of potential in that, so generally no harm in that. But yeah, of course, we grew and grew and added new developers to our teams. And we always had like one or two infrastructure guys also being around to also closely in touch with. So every time that we needed to something out and then set something up, we did it. But of course, there was never that much automation. And some people have been telling me, Guido, can you do DevOps already in that time? I'm sorry, we didn't really. I mean, of course, we were responsible for what we have been running, but we were perfectly capable of really automating lots of business stuff, but automating IT processes and formalizing them was always out of the question. There simply weren't enough tools available for that. And even in the company before, sorry, turning back to that software company, we built what nowadays would be called a continuous delivery system, which compiles really tons of C++ code every night, simply because we constantly needed to check for the integration. We called it our build server, which we regularly started at 6 o'clock in the evening in order to put all of our stuff together by 6 o'clock in the morning. And so that we thought at the time was really rather cutting edge, but didn't really feel good because there was nothing standardized there. There were no tools available. We wrote everything ourselves within Makefile. And with CDS as a source control system. So, maybe just to ask, how many of you work with CDS? Just a show of hands. Wow, so that's actually 50 people around. Well, I'm sure you love the system, right? Anyway, yeah, so we grew bigger and bigger, and still, like I just said, everybody, all the developers were building and running their code. So everybody was responsible for the products, for the software that was developing happily, and checking into any production server, of course, with root access to see whether everything was running fine. We simply couldn't go on like that forever, and when we were about, and Martin, correct me if I'm saying something wrong, okay, we already basically entered the company 2 months later, just after we had basically doubled our headcount for developers, and we were really trampling on each other's feet. And so the first idea that we got was, well, let's separate development from operations. So there's some people who do development, but by no means they will get access to production systems. And let's get in people who take care of operations for us, because that's easy. And then we can have like a select number of people who are really responsible, who really understand what they're doing, and they do the operations for us. And for some reason, and Martin, maybe you remember our first talk about this, it was incredibly hard to get somebody like that. And the next speaker here, Martin Passing, he's the Martin that I'm talking about, was one of those brave guys who actually stepped in and said, well, here, I'm willing to do this. And I was so happy that he did. And I mean, he was a seasoned IT guy already by that time, so he quickly, of course, understood the problems that we were having. And he started preparing us for something else, because in the end, it became unbearable to continue working like that. So, in a way, then really real DevOps to the rescue. Some tools have become available that allowed us also for the automation of, well, I mean, we had set up continuous integration already in 2010 or something, and still with Team City, maybe some of you know that system, and then at that time, we commissioned just like, I think about half a year ago or something, and so now it's CDK over, and you'll still hear about another system a little bit later. Yeah, I mean, this is something that basically Martin and his team then got started, that go into more intelligent ways of taking a hold and taking responsibility for the software stack that we need to run. And I mean, now it appears to be difficult that, well, some developers appear to be taking I find rather luxurious perspective of not really wanting to be responsible for the software that I write, which I find incredibly short-sighted. Because I mean, if I write software, I want to know how it's doing. I want to know even what benefit it's giving, not only from a technical side, but maybe even from a business side. And I hope that, of course, with all of you, it's rather easy to motivate this. But I hope that lots more developers will also, see this as a new horizon opening up if they really take full charge of what they're doing by becoming DevOps developers, trying to automate their work, trying to make sure that they've got documented ways of releasing their software, have documented ways of defining the environment in which their software runs, having like a platform for monitoring available in which they have easy transparency and insight on how their software is doing, where problems might be, and then even something where you could foresee that some problems might be occurring. And this is maybe one of the most important ideas, if you remember anything from what I talked to you about so far, maybe even extending the ideas into a domain that's not naturally seen as an extension, which I think is also rather critical, and where what Martin will be telling you about tonight is also like a central part, getting some business insights into what we're doing. So if we provide software, we don't do this because we love to do software. Software is always a means to end. It's not the end in itself. We always try to solve some kind of business problem, and that's the major thing that quite often gets, especially among us IT guys, often gets neglected. And so in the end, what we are aiming for is be even a more global perspective than just DevOps, which we at the Plus quite often call biz DevOps. So you have really the full stack overview, basically, from operating the software, developing up to the benefit that you're getting at the business from our activities, whatever we are doing. And in that respect, taking even a fuller responsibility, yes, but also seeing the full horizon and the full depth of the value that we are creating. And I personally find that rather invigorating. That was great when I was working at the Plus, when it was in startup. And I think maybe this is also something that we do then, in order to live this fully, might also have to establish, at least to some extent, not in terms of long working hours, and a startup culture, but in the end, in the sense of having like full responsibility of an entire stack that you really feel fully responsible for, because you understand it all, and it's not as big as to render itself unmaintainable or not understandable simply because there's too much in it. But if we could arrive at something like this, where we then integrate those different production stacks, some people might call it silos. Therefore, we still need to integrate everything across those silos, of course, but arriving at some concept like that would definitely be a great thing. And one central thing to achieve also that is using a monitoring platform like Martin supports us right now, not only for technical aspects, but also get the business into thinking what kinds of metrics they would like to monitor in order to claim that the applications that we are running for them are healthy in the business. So let's see. I'm glad that you're all here. I'm quite sure that there'll be maybe even quite a few thoughts in the upcoming talks by Martin, Jagos, and Maciek, where you get some new ideas and new inspiration. I'm looking forward to talk to you later on. If you've got any questions or so, if you've got any questions right now, feel free to ask. But I'm sure we'll all be available. And that being said, Martin, you're still in the background. I would hand over to Martin to present the monitoring platform as we currently have set it up as. Thank you very much. And yes, thanks. Or we used to say something. Sorry, 5 minutes of break. Okay. Or if you have questions, I'm happy to make my session. We've got 8+7.
monitoring platform. We'll tell you all the things about how we monitor all this. Yeah, right.
Okay, so yeah, I will tell you about Logstash at C++. So how we use it to do more than just collecting logs, how our architecture looks like to provide us scalability and flexibility, but also what are the drawbacks of that. And in the end, how we try to provide logging as a kind of service to our application teams. Yeah, Guido already gave a little bit of introduction. So I've been with Suplas since some time already, started in 2009 in Munich. And I started in the beginning as an operations engineer. And meanwhile, my focus is, yeah, basically mostly on monitoring and providing monitoring as a service. And yeah, this is in the end then part of IT production services team. And just to give you a bit of an idea, so all the orange boxes are part of IT production services team. That means we have some guys that are working on providing infrastructure platform, so computing, storage, backup, network, all that kind of things. And on top of that, we have three major columns where monitoring platform is one. Second is built in runtime platform that is right now mainly running a big Mesos cluster for all the teams to use to run their applications. And persistent services is quite new, trying to also cover some things like message queues or secret storage and so on. And yeah, on top of our platforms, there are multiple product centers at C++. So teams that are developing applications, usually for a certain business domain, like finance and payment, or logistics, or for the shop team, and so on. Yeah, now question is, who has an idea about what Logstash is? Or who has no idea about what Logstash is? Okay, so it's no, I don't need to start from scratch, but yeah, just jolly what Logstash says about itself. It's an open source data processing pipeline, and it can ingest data from various sources. Yeah, provides kind of plug-in system, and also filters are plugins that allow you to configure rules for parsing data, for transformations, for translations. One very common filter is GeoIP, where you have a IP address as an input, and it looks up some GeoIP database and returns you the location of that IP address. Yeah, and then there are output plugins that can send data to all kinds of destinations. Very often you use it to write something to Elasticsearch, but there are also lots of other outputs possible. And yeah, meanwhile, or since some time already, this is part of the portfolio of Elastic, the company that also develops Elasticsearch. Yeah, and in our production setup, we are processing with Logstash around 1.5 billion documents per week, and we store in total around 5 billion. Also, we delete the same amount of documents that we store, so it's constant moving period. And we use Logstash with different configurations that are doing different tasks and have around 20 different Logstash roles. The versions we are using for Logstash, this is a very recent one, which gives quite some nice features that have been added recently. I will come to that later. For Elasticsearch as a backend, you might notice this is a quite old version. We're actually planning since some time already to upgrade that, but the problem is more or less that it's really quite stable and we don't have any trouble with it. So we're still on that old version, but yeah, the plan is to also upgrade that sooner or later. And yeah, other drawback is that with this Elasticsearch, we still need to use Kibana 3 and are only able to use from Kibana 4.1, but Kibana 5 is much more features. Meanwhile, it's not possible to use this Elasticsearch. And then we are using Redis also in the stack just for queuing. So Logstash workers are using it to just buffer their messages. Yeah, why we actually started with that is a bit related to what Guido explained. So when I started at Zuplus, our team was operating all the applications. So it was more like you build it and someone else runs it. And when there were problems and you had to find out what's going wrong in some application, you had to SSH to all servers and grab through the logs. And that was just, very frustrating. And so we started searching for something to store all logs in a central system. And found that this gives you a lot of advantages if you have a central and structured storage, as you can then easily filter and find all errors that happen in a certain time period on all servers that you have, or find all HTTP requests that are slow. Also, you can aggregate and find all customers or clients that create the most HTTP requests. And of course, you can also correlate. So if there's problems in one application, you can easily find out which other error logs you have around the same time. And yeah, of course, usually you use a nice UI like Kibana to visualize and analyze all the collected data. And also, you can use the data that you collect to automate, checking if there are problems, if you have proper rules for that, so you can get alerted when there's a problem that you can see in the logs. Now this rough architecture is showing that we are usually using 3 instances of Logstash that are connected to each other in the processing pipeline. And so we are basically separating tasks and have in the beginning one Logstash instance that is just taking care to either receive documents, so whatever open a socket where someone can send something to, or to collect documents, so to itself connect to some database and fetch some data. Then the second worker is then doing all the filtering. So basically, all the operations that are quite CPU intensive. And between these two, yeah, there's the queue. So it goes to Redis. Second one just reads from Redis, does some transformation, writes it back to the output queue. And the last worker just needs to take care to write it to Elasticsearch or to some other system. Yeah, we started using this to better cope with bursts. So if, for example, there is yeah, actually that's the third point. If there is more data coming in and you need to scale up, you can just scale up the processing, and that's usually enough because you the input and the output doesn't take so much CPU resources. But also it makes it more robust in case, for example, the backend is down and Elasticsearch is not available for some time. Then the heavy processing can still continue and just put everything on the output buffer. And as soon as Elasticsearch is back, then there is the backlog is empty much faster, as the indexing is usually more much faster as the processing. Also, we have in most cases the processing is also sending some events to statsd. So this is then independent of the indexing and can always continue. Yeah, and in the end, you can, by monitoring the sizes of the queue, find out if there is some congestion and then easily monitor this and react on some more events going through, and then scale up by adding more instances or changing the number of parallel processes on a instance. Yeah, so from this main architecture, this is how it really looks like in our production. Might first look a bit confusing, but in the end, this is just the same going from top to bottom, and there are just multiple pipelines, but still you have in most cases one logstash that is doing the input work, one that is doing the heavy processing, and one that is writing to the backend. And yeah, also here you see, so this is basically the main instance that is doing the processing of the basically application logs from our teams. That is also connected to a statsd server, so that is collecting time series. And in case there is congestion and on the output queues, because Elasticsearch is not available or would be slower, then we can still have time series here. On the other hand, if the processing would not be fast enough, then processes sending data to a TCP endpoint could still send something, and it would just be queued on the input queue. Yeah, looking at the inputs and at the different kind of data that we process. So we have, on the one hand, log streams, so lines of logs from applications, and we have different ways how we transport them. So basically, the preferred one that we are trying to use as a standard is using file beat for shipping, and then this uses the speeds protocol, which can basically read from files on a file system, or you can also pipe the output of another process to it. Then we are using TCP input on the one hand to allow applications to ship their logs directly via network connection in JSON format, and also to be able to also ingest some syslog streams from some old legacy servers. We have a syslog endpoint but we are just using the normal TCP input plugin to support that. And yeah, on some actually older application servers, we also still use Logstash instead of FileBeat for reading log files directly, like Apache log files and Apache error logs. Then the other kind of data are events. So for example, we have a Logstash that is executing a curl in the pipe plugin that then fetches or actually connects to the event stream of our Marathon framework. And that is working quite well because it outputs JSON messages that you then even don't need to really parse yourself. And also we have the HTTP plugin for tools like Jira and Stash, where you can use then plugins in Jira and Stash that send a message via webhook to this HTTP endpoint, for example, when some commit is done on Stash, or when some ticket gets transferred from one stage to another in Jira. And yeah, also we have our own released API implemented that is basically on top of Marathon and Chronos framework that does some validations to ensure that people only release what they should release. But this also sends then events to this endpoint. So we have a complete log of what was changed on our application cluster. Then, yeah, also we have Sensu for monitoring that sends events to Logstash for every check that changed its state. And also we use JDBC plugin to fetch some business data from our Oracle database. So for example, every order that is placed is written in the database, and then this periodically checks if there is something new and adds it to Elasticsearch. Yeah, and last one is IMAP plugin, also possible to do that, where we are fetching some emails from systems, also more older systems that are not providing logs, but can send some emails when they have issues. Yeah, now the central worker is doing lots of filtering, lots of splitting plain messages into fields. But then we also are executing some filters to enhance the logs and try to add some more value to it. And first, of course, we have some standard field names that we try to convert all the logs to. So if there is some applications that have different naming, we try to really get everything into the same format. Also, for access logs, sometimes applications are logging response times in milliseconds or microseconds or even nanoseconds. That all gets normalized. And yeah, then the next thing is that we do a CMDB lookup. So for every log that we get from an application team, it is mandatory that it has an application field that is a unique name of the application. And based on that, we add basically the organizational data related to this application. So which product center the application belongs to, which product group, which product. So this can be used later for filtering. And a team can just go to some dashboard, add a filter, give me all finance logs from yesterday that are errors, and yeah, can easily filter for everything that is interesting for them. Yeah, also for applications running on the Mesos platform, the application doesn't need to take care on which Mesos slave it is running. The metadata also gets added, so you can then see if the application runs in parallel on multiple instances, if this happened on the one or on the other. Yeah, and finally, also shortly mentioned it already, the logs processing worker is connected to Telegraph. That's the plugin, so it sends for every event that gets processed UDP packets there, and StatsD aggregates this into time series. So if Logstash in a certain time interval gets 10 log messages, then this gets transferred to StatsD, and StatsD makes one time measurement out of it with a count of 10, for example, and yeah, and counts the number of events by application. Also aggregates by the severity, so you get time series, and these are stored in InfluxDB, which is then way more storage efficient. So it's possible to have very long-term trends for about what you had in the logs. And for access logs, it's even more interesting, as you then have not only the number of requests, but also StatsD can aggregate for response time the minimum, maximum, average, and percentiles. And that gives you then a long-term trend about how your web server responded. If there's questions so far, just tell.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you use X-Factor security for
We don't use it. So at the moment, we are also basically using StatsD to collect metrics about how many events we processed. But I mean, it's quite new. I've taken a look at it. It's quite interesting, but at the moment, no. I mean, Bits protocol, it's not HTTP, but we're basically using it in our internal network only. We don't have it at the moment, but we have no public endpoints at the moment. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Did you have any problems with like overflowing the shards in Elasticsearch? Because if you send too much data to the Elasticsearch shard, it can like break and overflow over 1,000, and you cannot like do data.
You mean if you have more than 1,000 charts in the cluster? So we did quite some tuning to keep the number low, like having only one primary per index. And yeah, we have a bit over 1,000 charts, but it's quite stable. Yeah, if you like to know more details, we can also discuss it maybe later. Yeah. Yeah, so how we basically deploy our Logstash processing and how we test it. So first, we are using Logstash in on Docker. So, and this also runs on a Mesos cluster, which is separated from the application cluster. We consider Logstash to be almost stateless. I mean, it's not completely stateless. And yeah, we are using the base image provided by Elastic with some adaptations, but only slightly. So like actually the logging configuration or how we can add some configuration. And in the end, then we just add configuration for every worker and run it. Yeah, we also have all the Logstash configuration in Stash. And whenever we change something, Jenkins does run Logstash in configuration test mode to validate the configuration. And if that succeeds, it gets deployed to our test stack. And if we're happy with the changes, we can manually deploy to dev and prod. The 3 stages I mentioned, for us, we have a test cluster that we use to try out something new, change the filters, upgrade the version of Logstash, and we are fine if this is broken because no one uses it. The dev and the prod cluster are for our team actually similar. The difference is that the dev cluster is used by our development teams for the development work, and the production cluster is used by the applications that are in production state. But we also want to provide the dev cluster as stable as the production cluster, because if it's broken, then we are basically preventing the developers from using it for the development work. Redis is not running on Mesos, but we have some dedicated hosts for that. In the end, the whole setup is not completely bulletproof, so there is a risk to lose some messages. So in case a host goes down where Logstash is running, you would just lose all the transient messages that can be, depending on the number of parallel threads, 1,000 messages. But the risk of this to happen is quite low, and losing some log messages is not nice, but it's a risk that we are taking. Yeah, about how we monitor the log processing. So as I mentioned, we have StatsD, where also for every message that is processed, this gets triggered and time series is created. Then we also use Telegraph to measure congestion on the queues. Also have some alerts on that. Then we also ship the logs off Logstash to a separate log processing pipeline. And yeah, in the beginning, I said we have quite recent version of Logstash. What is really big advantage of it is the API that they provide, as it can give you very detailed overview and tells you for every plugin you configure how many events it processed and how many CPU it consumed. Now, on this slide, this goes no more into the final point of the presentation, so how this looks like for our application teams. So under the hood, this is, in some ways complex, which basically the teams that are using the system don't need to know completely. What we are trying to provide is that the teams that are actually using our platform can do that in a very easy way. And this shows basically the approach that we are trying to get to for all applications that have been migrated to be running on Docker and to run on the Mesos platform. And the way of logging there is that the application just logs everything to standard out and does that in a JSON format. So what then happens on a Mesos slave? So on the left, there is 2 application containers. Of course, there are more, and they are just logging to standard out. And Docker is configured to send everything that a container writes to standard out to systemd journal. And so we are using this basically as a buffer. And then we have one Docker container that is then attaching to the journal stream. This gets piped to filebeat, and this is then shipped to our processing. The other prerequisite is that the container from the team should have a environment variable with the application name, because this doesn't need to be in the source code, but then we just need the logs in JSON format. Yeah, and so this is basically the contract. So on the left side, you see what we need from the team. Of course, they can use also still the different logging endpoints. So there are still lots of applications that are just shipping their logs via TCP, or that are writing them to the file system. But also our teams, they are anyway trying to migrate more and more to the Mesos platform to have everything running in Docker containers. And if they are doing so, then we expect them to log only to standard out in JSON format. And we expect them to just use the standard fields that we have defined. But that's basically all. And then we take care about collecting everything, enriching the events, so giving them the possibility to filter for every log that belongs to their department or team, adding some platform metadata to be able to differentiate if something's running on same host or different host. We provide out-of-the-box time series. So you have some long-term trends for all your application logs and for your access logs, and don't need to take care about it yourself. Also, we have some standard dashboards that are you can just add some filters to just see the data that you're interested in. And of course, in the back end with Elasticsearch, all the data is available and can be easily filtered. We can do aggregations. And for example, we also have set up full text search on the log messages. So having this a bit visualized, so developer deploys, in case this is running now on the new platform, something to Marathon or Kronos. These frameworks take care to schedule the application on a Mesos slave, and this logs something to standard out, goes automatically to journal. Journal shipper picks it up, sends it to Logstash with the 3 stages, of course. It writes it to Elasticsearch. Also sends some messages to sets the endpoint to aggregate it. Time series gets stored in InfluxDB. And then the developer can use Grafana to access time series dashboards or create their own, of course. You can use Kibana to access the logs, and also can configure its own checks on Sensu that triggers alerts that get them distributed from the Sensu server via HipChat or Opsgenies, and also that's front end for that. The 2 dashed links here are basically also something optional. So if a team is not happy with the basic time series that we create here, then they are also welcome to send their own events to StatsD endpoint or to directly write pre-aggregated time series to InfluxDB. Yeah, that's it. If there's any question, you're welcome. If there's anything where you think you would like to know more in detail, just approach me later today so I can also show you some code or whatever you'd like to know in more detail. Yeah. It basically depends. So we separate data when it gets written to Elasticsearch into different indexes. Like for some applications, we store logs longer than for others. Or for example, for application logs, we store different log levels with different retentions. So if, for example, we consider error logs and warning logs more important than debug logs, and so debug logs maybe get removed after 1 week already, and error logs are kept for 3 months. And this is achieved by creating new indexes every week or every day. And after certain time, there's a cleanup job that is then just deleting the oldest one. So in InfluxDB, it's a bit different. We have a default retention of only 30 days, but you can configure to keep something longer with using continuous queries, where you need to define some interval to aggregate it and downsample it, because the default retention period keeps time series in a 10-second interval. And keeping it longer in that interval doesn't make too much sense. But that is then in the end flexible. So we basically allow our application teams to define their own periods there and define which kind of data they want to keep longer. Yeah, no problem. So it is, I mean, in Elasticsearch, so basically the raw data we don't have for such a long time. So we have access logs for maximum 1 month. The aggregated data in InfluxDB, that would be no problem to configure it in a way that it stores it for a few years, and then you can, of course, compare it. But since this is aggregated, you're, of course, not able to look into the raw request anymore. Storing in InfluxDB. That, if we need it, we do it, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, then that's from my side. Thank you.
Próba mikrofonu. Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Who might that be? Okay, hello everyone. Let's start. I'm Maciej, the first one on the list. I did the presentation. Karol is expert in Jenkins. Kasper is expert in GoCD. So if you have any questions about Jenkins or GoCD, ask them. I just did the slides. We are part of the ITPS team, so IT production services or platform and services or whatever. And we are unofficially called rainbow snails because we are so slow, but colorful. Today I want to tell you about Jenkins, or how to and why to fire him from your organization. Okay, so first of all, warning. This presentation is not serious. I mean, the data is true, but don't take it too seriously. And don't feel offended. If you like Jenkins, please, it's just the presentation. It does not represent the views of every ITPS member. We have our boss here, so he will tell you that we prefer Jenkins. But we don't, so yeah, so let's begin. What is Jenkins? I like to, when I talk about tools, I usually like to put the slogan or main sentence from the main product page, so to see what they are talking about themselves. So on Jenkins.io, they say the leading open source automation server. So the big words. For some, it's just a guy with a towel. So for other ones, it's just this thing that builds the stuff. Yeah. For many, this is CI/CD solution, so it's currently for us. And for me and my colleagues, it's constant source of frustration. What is wrong with Jenkins? In our opinion, of course. Jenkins was built as general automation tool. So it's not only for CI/CD, it's for many different things, generating certificates, creating servers, whatever. It was not created as a CI/CD tool. The interface is ugly. And the DSL plugin, the Jenkins file, is even uglier and error-prone. This is the biggest thing. And this is a DSL. So this DSL often includes many SH calls, so just invocation of bash. So you have two levels of abstractions. First, you have the DSL of Jenkins, the Groovy, some functions, special functions of Jenkins, and then you have SH. So when you debug, you first have a pretty nice stack trace of Java because I forgot one comma or whatever. And then I have something wrong with bash because I forgot some quote or backslash or something. And pipelines created in Jenkins file cannot be easily run locally. This is the biggest thing that I will focus today, and I will show you why this is important. So now you ask me, yeah, you are asking me, what to do, how to live? Are there any alternatives? And that would be a surprise, but Kasper made a spoiler. Thank you, by the way. So me and my colleagues had an exploration day. In every sprint, you can have exploration day. You just choose a tool that you like, and you can try implementing it for the company. So just a proof of concept. So with it, we chose, we wanted to replace Jenkins with something that in the direction that the whole world is going. So everyone is moving to machines, throwing out people. So we don't want the butler, and we want something special. And this is GoCD. The words about GoCD, simple yet powerful, by me. So remember this quote, you may use it someday. What they say about themselves: simplify continuous delivery, open source continuous delivery server to model and visualize complex workflows with ease. I have no idea what that means, but this is a great CI/CD tool. So why GoCD? GoCD was designed as CI/CD tool. It was created by ToughWorks. They are the authors of Cruise Control, one of the first CI tool. So all the interface and all the features are centered about this CI/CD idea. The interface is really clean, simple, ergonomic. You just want to use it. And the most important thing, again, is that it's just a wrapper around your comments. So you create everything on your own PC. You create deployment pipeline, scripts, executables, whatever you like. And then in GoCD, you just put it in one file and tell the server to run it. Of course, as many modern tools, it's open source. It has a lot of some plugins, let's say, not a lot. It's easy to deploy, easy to manage, easy to use. If we will have spare time, I can even show you that. You may ask, why not Travis or whatever tool? Just because. We wanted to test GoCD. We knew it a little before. We liked it. We did a quick research if it will fit us, and we wanted to put it to test. And spoiler alert, we like it even more after testing. So that's why I'm showing it to you. So Jenkins versus GoCD interface. So this is the main page. Does everyone recognize it? By the way, I didn't ask. Who uses Jenkins as CI/CD tool? Not everyone? I'm amazed. So you know what that is, yeah? Because do you use it or do you use it? You enter the web page. OK, so this is the main page of Jenkins for those who didn't know. We have the toolbar, search, login. You can help translate this page. And the most important thing, the pipelines. So first is Bootstrap. It's a screenshot of ITPS Jenkins, so our platform thing. So monitoring infrastructure. Sorry for the quality. It's not me. It's the project. This is the main page of GoCD. I will show you it in details later. So you have pipelines. This is bigger. We have big screens, so why not? And just it. And you can share it to Twitter, the most important feature. The build history. The build history you have on the left, one build fate. This is my awesome, this is a pipeline created by me, by the way. So you see all the successes. Yeah, pipeline of the branch master. And that's how it looks in GoCD. Sorry, I didn't run a lot of builds for the presentation. I hope I will be forgiven. So 2 builds, great success. Console log. This is the log that you see inline. If you click on the stage, you will see the logs. You can expand it and see what happened. Of course, you can look in the console when you enter the job. You can see the bigger console. But still, this is the quick override. This is the console in GoCD. So you have the tabs. There is a stage, let's say, task, stage, job. And you have console. You can expand. I will show you it in details. Jenkins, pipeline branches. This is the thing for now that's different in GoCD. In GoCD, you don't have, by default, let's say, branches support. So in Jenkins, you see a branch master, and if we had more branches in this repository, we would have more things here. On the other hand, this is a nice thing in GoCD. It's a stage view. So for me, it is really clear. This thing that is currently running, it's in yellow color. Yeah, you must believe me. It's built, and the next one will be deployed, and we will see what happens. So what about Blue Ocean? Did you hear about Blue Ocean? Yeah, the seagulls squealing. And no, not this one. The plugin for Jenkins. This is a plugin that changes the interface. So it's not only my opinion that Jenkins is ugly. The authors of Jenkins knew it too, so they are creating the new interface. But what about Blue Ocean? Painted rock. So it's pretty, but it's still a rock. So the idea didn't change. You have just nice skin. But I want to be honest, and I want to show you. It really looks better, honestly. This is the branch list. This is the build. You have console. It really looks better. You have the stages clearly visible, and the green toolbar up, so you see you are a successful person. I hope if it's red, it's just a little red, because all red would be not encouraging. The console expanded, and the list of builds. So yeah, and now the more important things. Interface is just eye candy. But the more important thing I want to focus is pipeline as a code and running your code locally. So if you want to create your pipeline, it would be better if you could keep your pipeline code in the same repository. So you have everything in one place. In Jenkins, you do it with Jenkins file. And in GoCD, you have plugins, for example, YAM plugin, which I will show you today, and some statistics. This is based on this my project, Sensu client. You have Jenkins file, which has 46 lines. 8 of those lines is just pure SH calls. So I do SH and bash line. 8 are environment sets, 2 sleeps, 2 change directories, echo, 2 lines are if else, and 20, so that means 23 bash things. And by bash things, I don't mean that setting environment is just the bash thing, but I mean it's not DSL specific. And for me, domain-specific language should give you some benefits. If it's just hiding the view from the real thing, it's not a benefit. So the real DSL benefit is 7 lines. So this is saying stage, let's say. Setting stage lets you see an additional box in Jenkins. So you see it's a different stage. It has different timer and everything. The rest is some type of boilerplate. So additionally, we have some internal lib that is used to call Git. So you just say Git checkout. And if you use the bash, you would need a lot. You would have to say Git checkout repository. That would be terrible. Clone, sorry, mistake. And in GoCD, I wrote it in 3 files. 24 is a pipeline. So this is a pipeline specification YAML. As I said, this is this wrapper that this glue that holds everything, the pipeline. 10 lines is build Docker, and 17 is deploy. Of course, it includes new line, bash, hashbang, and everything. And it's 0 external dependencies. It's loosely coupled. It's what you should aim for. Jenkins file. You are not supposed to read that. I'm just showing you this is my Jenkins file. And I mark the lines. So this is environment, some kind, here, again, and again, and again. Blue is SH calls. Green are directory change. Yellow is something, some sleep, if, else, so standard code. And the black one is library call. So if you see, I do not see a point of this domain-specific language, honestly. And how it looks in GoCD. So this is a pipeline. This is a whole pipeline definition. So you have pipelines. You can have multiple, name, some group, materials. This is one of the core concepts of GoCD. So the path of the repository, because you can have pipeline specification in the same repository as a code, or you can have this different thing. We have something similar in Plus. You can have one repository with all the pipelines, and so it has to know the URL of this repository because it doesn't have to be set. Some environment variable sets and stages defined. Build container, tasks, executable. Okay, this is YAML. This is very verbose. So this is not perfect, but I still prefer it. Of course, it's a matter of taste. And deploy development, deploy, and deploy production, which needs manual approval. This is a build Docker stage. It's really complicated, as you see. We have bash, some environment variables, and we want to cd to directory. And this is echo because I didn't want to break the system in case I did something wrong. So, but that would be Docker build and Docker push. We push everything through Artifactory. And deploy stage is heap chat room notification we have on deployment. The ID of marathon app. This is a skip production. I didn't want to break production in case. And there are 4 lines that pushes to our marathon. So it's generating template and stuff like that. Not important. Some operations. And this is the pipeline from one team. I won't tell you that this is ITPA, some team. And look at that. How much of the code is boilerplate or bash or something like that? How much of the DSL you have? And while using this DSL, you see in bash, you say just name of the variable equals value. That's all. Here you have to set n for something or push it to stage or anything. No, I don't like it. So it's time for a demo. Let's see how it goes. I have a video if something breaks, because usually something breaks. But let's hope we can do better. Page time would be nice. This is a German keyboard, sorry. Oh, big enough? I hope so. OK, so this is the main view of the Go CD. For a second, I will zoom out so you can see everything better. So this is the main page, like you've seen on screenshot. If you don't have any pipelines, it gives you the pipeline creation page. So what I want to do, I will show you how to transform some project, some random project from GitHub, into pipeline in Go CD. So there is some project. I found it yesterday, seriously. It's a project that has some bash snippets. And I will clone it. I need the repository URL. Let's go to Go CD. And this will be done with just by hand. So first the name. Awesome. Default group. Scroll would be even better. Next. We have the name. Now we have to choose the material type. Material type is usually repository, but the great thing about Go CD is that you can use other pipelines as the materials. So the guys from the ITP were saying that you need some variables from previous stages or something. So you could create pipeline for every component, and then the master pipeline that combines everything. So this is fun in approach. But now we will use just Git, the URL. Branch master, and let's see if the connection is working. Awesome. Success. You should be clapping now. Come on. Thank you. OK, but just the beginning. We can do better. OK, so first of all, we need to. OK, I won't bore you with too many details because that's not the point. But in Go CD, you have material, which is Git repository or pipeline, and then you have the building part, which is you have stage, just like in Jenkins. The stage has jobs, and the job has tasks. Why is it done like that? Because the stage are sequential, and in stage you have many jobs, and they will be run in parallel. So if you have, let's say, testing phase, you can test 3 components or 3 whatever you like. Just go with it. And the tasks are run sequentially. So if we have, for example, stage build Docker and job build Docker, because in many times you have just single job in single stage, then in task you can say push Docker, build Docker, and then push Docker. Or you can have one executable. And we'll do it like that. Stage name, let's say build, but whatever. Job name will also be build. And the task type, they support some ant, nant, whatever that is, and rake. But I don't know why it's called more instead of comment, whatever. And we will say weather. Awesome. Why weather? Because I tried it yesterday to not look like a moron, because I don't know what I'm doing. But they have weather, the weather script, weather directory, and there is some script in bash. Whatever it does. That would be awesome fail, but thank you. Awesome, thanks. OK, so now I've showed you that we need working directory, and this time I got it right. We'll finish. Go away. This is not a good interface design. This stop. Let's say what it does. No, that's not. Finish. And that's it. You have a pipeline. I mean, I have a pipeline, but you can feel included. The first pipeline, it's paused. It does nothing because it's the beginning. Maybe you change your mind. Maybe you want to change the working directory, whatever. Do what you like. We'll unpause it. Awesome, we have new buttons. So we will want to start. Let's trigger. OK, it won't work. Ha, I remembered one thing. You need agent to run it. And I just set it up for you all. I built it exactly for you. We have one agent. It looks terrible. Why it looks like that? I clicked something which I shouldn't. we need to enable this agent, because without enabling the agent, it won't have a place to execute. Why does it look like that? Sorry, I have to zoom out. That's how it goes with live presentation. Oh, it looks better. Yeah, it's responsive design. Cool story, bro. Pending status. It wants to register. If you build GoCD, it can auto-register, but you need token. In this case, we'll do it by hand. I wanted to show you. Ta-da! Idle. Exactly. That was my first thought. Still idle. How can you do it? Still idle. No, it will pick up. Maybe it already did. So, okay, so let's go back. Okay, it's finished already. What a not useful thing. Past build, July, triggered by changes, because the first unvows I did, it pulled the repository and seen that there was changes. Changes, you can see something Alex, whatever, did some changes. So it was first build, you can compare the build and blah, blah, blah. We entered the stage. This is a stage. It passed. We go to, this is jobs, and we enter build. There is one not a nice thing. When you enter it, you go to artifacts tab. For me, it would be better to go to console. And actually, they are changing this in this new version. We go to console, and we see job started. Do you see it? Sorry? Yeah, OK. And there is a task, whether it took 1 second. Job status is passed. We can expand it. And we'll see this is a nice script that pulls the weather. You can use curl to pull weather from the website, and they do it in text. If you want to look awesome. If you want to look awesome, don't use this small resolution. Sorry, again, German keyboard. Yeah, look how awesome it looks. OK. Let's move to something more serious. Stop joking around. OK, so we have pipeline, but this is done by hand. We don't want to do that. Don't ever do that. I just show you to know what not to do. We want to add pipeline as a code. So in this version of GoCD, you cannot do that easily in an automatic way. So we'll have to add the configuration repository. And the configuration repository is a place where the YAML definition of pipelines are. You can, as I said, you can have it with your own, with your code, but then you would have to have a lot of these config repositories, or you have one giant repository with all the YAML files. They are working on it. They are creating API. Almost. A lot of things are accessible to through API. I will edit it. There is a pipelines. Yeah, I'm prepared. Just. This work? Of course it won't work. It would be too easy. Oh, yeah. Just like I wanted. Copy. And paste. That's the way I work. I mean, of course, configuration error. Why not? What did I forget? Of course. But I know how to fix it. This is a new thing. Usually in work, I don't know how to fix it. I ask my colleagues. Can I edit it? This is live coding. You see, I didn't prepare at all. Why? Yeah, no. German keyboard. How to? No. Yeah. I'm awesome. Working even with German keyboard. Yay! I'm amazing. OK. I hope you are laughing because I am. Let's wait a little. Be nice and work. Now. I mean now. Now. Please, we have 3 pipelines. I do in one. In one repository, we have 3 pipelines. I mean, yeah, it started already building because it was unpaused automatically because the pipeline is created in YAML. So there is a minimal pipeline. It would be probably better if I showed you the code than this, but we don't have that much time. Maybe if you want to stay later. But this is a simple pipeline where you have, it's minimal because not only because it has one stage, but because it has a single job, single task in single stage. So there is a shortcut in the YAML to create those shorter things. Okay, the agent, it didn't config. Yeah, we have build.sh, which was single script. It was just ls and print working directory. Okay, there is now more typical pipeline, which with 2 stages. You see the second stage is just happening on our eyes, live, just like watching BBC or Animal Planet, being born, the new Docker container. It would be if it was real. Deploy, waiting for console logs. As you see now, it's going to console because it's running. So it doesn't make sense at all. But they are fixing it. Yay, it worked. So I won't show you a lot because it's just a fake stage. But I will show you that by default, GoCD is cleaning sandbox after every stage. Actually, all the, as I said, jobs can run in parallel, so they also don't have a shared state. So if you want to pass the artifact between stages, this artifact may be, for example, test results, they support it. As I said, this is built as CI/CD tool. So this is supported. So if you want to pass the artifact, now it opens our artifact page, which is useful, but still. This is just a simple HTML5, HTML5, H1. No, is it valid if I have just H1? No, it is not valid, HTML5. Not important. For me, it's valid, and that's what matters. Console log. We have task, which is build. Yeah, something stupid. And then there is start. You don't see it, but you must trust me, please. Start to upload passing artifact, one build, blah, blah, blah. So from agent, it's transferring to server. Usually, you shouldn't do it like that. If you have Docker container, if you push it to GoCD server, you should talk to your psychiatrist. We are pushing this to Artifactory. So in theory, we don't pass any artifact between stages. On the deploy stage, we just say to Marathon, hey, pull the image from the Artifactory. But just to show you that it works, in the second stage, I'm reading this artifact. It was fetched, and now I did cat on it. It says H1 hello world. Okay, so presentation, this work? Of course. It would be too easy if it worked. Carol, can you help me? Shift F5. Stop laughing, please, there. Shift F5. Powinno zacząć od tego samego. Oh, please, you see why we are, I said Shift F5. You see, that's why we are replacing people with machines. Sorry, Carol. Awesome work, thank you. Yeah, there was video, but I did it better. Okay, so best features of GoCD, to sum up. Run the same code locally and on CI/CD server. This is really important, guys. I was trying to help the guys from ITPA. No offense, I'm not doing. They had problem with running tests in Chromium in Jenkins. So I wanted to help them, so I wanted to run it locally. So, okay, so how to run it? Our Jenkins has a lot of images. We build them automatically from the repository. So I'm downloading Jenkins file, and I'm how to execute it on my PC. I don't want all the Jenkins stuff on my machine. So maybe Jenkins image, but it wants to register in server. Whatever, I just want to run it. So I was reading the file and looking for SH comments. Maybe I need this one, or maybe this one, or maybe this one. I managed because I'm awesome. But it's not for normal people. It's really plays better if you run it, if you use this Bash or Python or some other obscure language like Java. Who uses that? Not you. I hope you are DevOps. You are using Python. You are not DevOps, so sorry. Stop speaking there. You can rerun single stage. In Jenkins, you can rerun whole pipeline. Of course, you should decide if you are supposed to rerun stage, because in theory, you should do rollback, or maybe you should do roll forward or whatever. But you have this choice. That's what I like. For example, it can be useful if your tests are time sensitive and one test failed. You just want to rerun tests. You don't want to rebuild everything. On the other hand, when you want to rebuild artifact in specific version, you can just start the rebuild stage. Or if you want to deploy the image in specific version, if you do it good, you tag your Docker image, let's say, with version, and then you click rerun on deploy stage, and it will just pull this specific image that was built before. So as long as you keep them in Artifactory or anywhere, you will build it again. Or if you don't keep it, if you rerun build stage, it will use this exactly Git revision that was used for that. Okay, you can parallelize jobs. You can multiple materials. So for example, you can have two repos, the code repository and the infrastructure repository. And let's say you have infrastructure the same for everything. So in this infrastructure repository, you have deploy script and run script. And then on every pipeline, you just include two repositories, the build and the code. So you have the same base for every pipeline. You have similar applications that differ. They work the same. Okay, how to put it? You know what I mean. I won't be telling you. We don't have time before I start talking like a normal person. You have fan-in and fan-out support. That is awesome. Simple but powerful interface, pluggable architecture, and as I said, you can write tasks in Python or Java or Node or whatever you like. It just have to be executable. So dependencies are everything. If you write in Java, you need obviously Java on this machine. One more thing, the Gomatic. Actually, the colleague from the previous company used it. What they did was awesome because GoCD didn't have this YAML plugin before, so you had to improvise, and it is a great tool. You write in Python, and it just calls the GoCD API. On one hand, it's kind of a workaround, let's say, but on the other hand, it shows how powerful the API is. So if the YAML plugin is not working, you can try using this and run it as a pipeline, and in pipeline, it will build other pipelines. So you do it once. But to be fair, Jenkins has some advantages. GoCD does not fully support our workflow in ITPS, in Suplas. If you wanted to make it work, we would have to write plugins, which would be kind of awesome to commit upstream. But at the moment, we are using multi-branch workflow. So when you do something, if you do a ticket, for example, you just create feature branch, and this is automatically picked by Jenkins and built. If you don't have this problem, it's better. Programmatically adding repositories. As you've seen, I had to copy this config repo to the XML. This is not awesome. Definitely not awesome. Everything below awesome. But they are working on it, so I hope it will work. Mesos support. We are spawning Jenkins agents on Mesos dynamically because we want to move to AWS, so we have to save money somewhere, so we don't keep the living agents all the time. So in GoCD, they can spawn the agent, but they do not destroy it. So not that good. But still, they are working on it. Carol tested the setup. Yeah, stop reading the phone. And you can talk our colleagues about this. YAML plugin in GoCD is young. For example, the one thing that is missing would be templates. So it supports creating pipelines, but it doesn't support creating templates. That would be really great. You could use it if you have the similar projects. Jenkins is much more popular, has bigger community. tons of plugins, really. So if you have a problem, it would be probably much easier to find this thing in Jenkins. And the last thing, if you want to earn what you did, you like to, if you want to live in the house, you build it yourself, use Jenkins. GoCD is too easy for you. Don't do that. So finally, it's time to send Jenkins to a well-deserved retirement. So get your torches, talk to your manager, and replace Jenkins with GoCD and make everything better. And that's all. Thanks. If you have any questions, please ask, or we can move. I have one bonus, but it's after questions. Anything? Or you can tell me how you do it. You do Jenkins file, anything special? Do you have any problems or something awesome you want to share? Don't be shy. I'm not a fan of Jenkins, but I won't hit you here on the camera. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, I'm not sure if they didn't fork something or the GitLab CI, yeah, because it's getting popular. It also looks nice if you use GitLab. Yeah. Okay, so maybe they forked it. We are using Stash, internal Stash. So also Travis, for example, it's I think it's how to say the wzór. No, not the template. It's something to follow. Idle, something you can follow. So Travis, it's very simple YAML, but it has a lot of things that they expect you to do it that way. So you have to use GitHub, some testing tool, and everything. If you do, it's awesome, really. I would use it. Okay, I wouldn't use it. I prefer open source tools. But if I didn't prefer open source tools and I didn't use GoCD and Jenkins, I would use Travis. That means something for someone, somewhere. Probably, maybe, whatever. We can talk with the pizza and beer, or you ate everything. Then, shame. And thank you. Now go and CD. And if you are crazy enough and you want to hear me more, it's getting late. I used my time probably more. So I'm awesome. But if you want to stay, I won't keep you, seriously. I can show you how I did setup of GoCD with Ansible. Are you interested? I mean, okay, silent is, you are like Polish government, so silence, you agree silently. Karol, I would gladly ask for your help. Okay, maybe I did too fast. Can you turn it again? Okay, okay. So the last slide was showing that how many lines I used for creating. I like Ansible. Terraform is in general okay, but I'm not a, let's say, huge fan. In Ansible, it's really simple. I'm a big fan of Ansible. In a second, thanks. So I did the setup with Ansible. So first I create some machines, and then I do setup there. And now we will switch to console, the thing I. Which window? Ah, I don't need you. Of course, it doesn't work. Who thinks that more important is pause play and not F1, F2? German and with stupid keys. Sorry, my fellow Germans. Since this is my last meetup in this company, I want to thank you a lot for visiting our great company and great people. Okay, getting back. This is a setup I did just before meetup. Of course, half of the thing failed because I forgot to change one thing and everything. Yeah, it's awesome. So I finished this at the meetup started at 6:30. So I finished at 6:25, but it worked. So yeah. What I wanted to do. Almost. This is the server or agent setup. Whatever, it's the same at the beginning. So GoCD on AWS. Are you familiar with Ansible? So in general, Ansible is like Puppet. Probably more of you know Puppet, but it's declarative. Yeah, I always mistake if imperative or declarative. One of it is, and the Puppet is the other one. So you say what you want to do and not how. So in GoCD, in Ansible, when you want to connect to the machine, where is my cursor? There. I'm telling to what hosts to connect. Usually you tell some normal host, but in case of EC2, Ansible connects to the local hosts and executes Boto. Boto is a library from AWS to contact their API. So this is this is a great wrapper. So I want to create the machine. Instance type, this is some variables, instance type, image, subnet ID, VPC, security group. This is a really minimal setup with external DNS. So yeah, I'm adding EC2 key because when AWS starts a machine, it provisions it with a key. So I want to be able to connect to the machine, of course. Now I create the security group, which I will use, port 22. It's I can connect from the server, 80 from the world. Yeah, again and again and again. Out, I want to go out. I want to, and now the meet. I want to launch the instance. It's using the my key by name. In Terraform, usually you have to specify variable key, let's say key awesome Maciej .id. In Ansible, I like it because you say the name, and Ansible is smart enough to guess the ID because AWS API communicates via IDs. So it's smart enough to pull the ID automatically. Okay, I have group, image, wait, true. So it's waiting for the machine to come up before continuing. Subnet, assign public IP because I want to, and instance tags. This is important. And I'm registering output. So I want to access it after it finishes. And I want to wait here. But this is a cheat. I'm saving the IP of this instance into file so the agents know where the server is. And now I'm adding the instance to the host group. Host group is Ansible inventory. So Ansible wants to know where to connect. And I'm creating domain for the instance. So it will be gocd free.sandbox.io. And I'm waiting for SSH to come back up. And if it's finished, I'm moving to second play because this is a playbook, book of plays. Amazing. What a coincidence, isn't it? And I want to connect to launched instances. The launched instances are here. Group name, I added this instance to launched group. If I created more instances, they all be here. So I want to gather facts, remote user, and I'm adding Apple repository and GoCD repository. Now I'm installing some workarounds. I want to disable SE Linux, which they say don't do, but the GoCD package is nasty and creating users. Very nasty thing. Don't ever create users when you create package, and it's not working with Linux. Of course. I'm disable SE Linux, blah, 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 installing packages, Vim, HTOP, they are important. Java, Git, because GoCD needs it. It's not written in Go. If you don't like Go, it's not written in Go. It's written in Java. The amazing language, you should check it out. It's the next big thing, I'm telling you. I'm installing GoCD YAML config plugin, blah, 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 starting and enable Go server. With agent, it's similar, so I won't show you, but this is all. This is all server. And then I have a wrapper, which I won't show you because there are passwords. And I won't show you the passwords. And let's see if it works. So my code. Please. Oh, okay. My simple script has exports variables for Boto. So it knows Ansible secret key, Ansible access key, and region where I want to create the machine. Everything else is inside those credentials, so the account and everything. And my wrapper just checks if the server creation was successful, and then it launches the agent's creation. Let's play. not space, enter. Okay. Connected to localhost, amazing. The key was already on AWS. I executed it, as I told you. Security group is the same. I'm just launching the new instance. So we are waiting for that. If I didn't do it before, it would be changed. And this is just a warning because that's how it works. We will wait a second. Any questions now before it launches? Yay, we have it. So it was created, and this is it just printed the data if I wanted to use it. And now we want to create DNS. One thing I will be honest, I'm not a fan of the cloud. I see the benefits, and one of it is this. You just, if you know what you are doing, I have instance, I have domain, it works. And I have 2 machines and big bill. But that's not what you are paying. It's the company. So no problem. I will shut down the instance after the presentation. Actually, one important thing you should remember after today is that on AWS, if you launch the instance, you pay for the hour already. So if you destroy create, you pay. Sorry. Now the route 53 was changed, and now we are waiting for SSH to come up. So at this time, the cloud init is executing and provisioning with the key. I'm finishing, please. Stop bugging. I'm being stressed. You spoiled my surprise. Now you are threatening me. Everyone seen? Okay, in the meantime, to save time, I will write the domain name in the German keyboard. Of course, it failed. Okay, maybe too early. If it won't work, you will believe me that it worked. It should work. I changed the key, I changed the key, I changed the, oh yeah, it worked. So it was some misconfiguration of SSH. I should probably fix it because I wait for the SSH to say open SSH. But in the starting phase, it sometimes does not connect to PAM in Linux, so it refuses. It's saying user does not exist. So I added repository, I added go cd repository, I installed Selinux, this was already installed, disabled Selinux, set to permissive, and I'm installing packages. The Java is a big package here. And I will just say go cd dot, no, go cd free dot sound. What? Awesome. So close IO. No, I forgot. It's not working by default on port 80. Where is my mouse? But I was prepared. No, I wasn't prepared. We'll just change it here a bit. You need port and HTTPS. Okay, for now it's okay. It's still installing packages. In the meantime, maybe I will show you the code. It will be better visible. This was the pipeline I was showing you. So you see just a really simple YAML thing. And then you have to compare Jenkins file. As I said, you probably can write it better. Okay, I'm not saying you cannot, but still. I like the tools that encourages good practices. So for me, that's how this works. Yeah, it's still installing the packages. I wanted to be cheap. I didn't use the big instance with good CPU, so now we are waiting. What is more important? Yeah, onion. Onion, instance type onion. .half. Still installing packages. So how are you guys? I said already. Fuck, I'm about serverless. God damn it. I wanted to tell you something about previous presentation. There is a famous phrase, coined, not coined, but used, popularized by the Milton Friedman, the famous economist. It says there ain't no such thing as a free meal. And listen, I'm telling you, there ain't no such thing as serverless. There is always a server doing a heavy lifting for you, either be it hardware, application, or HTTP server. And I'm serious. You should remember it, because if you break something or it's not optimized, nothing will help you. The thing that you don't shove your web server into your application doesn't change that the thing that you needed. You need the server. Please be considerate about your servers. Okay, success. It already started with the, no, it didn't start. Wait, starting. Because we created domain before, so we probably won't have to wait so much for the server to come up. Just a second. Any minute now. Any minute. No, I made a mistake. It's Java application. What do you expect? Java on Onion. So, yeah, no. Oh, come on. Yay! The agent started working. Of course it works. Okay, let's check if I used the correct domain. In the meantime, let's see. Route 53, where are you? Not here. No, that would be quicker. Version 3, IP, DNS, Route 53, Sandbox, Go CD, free, Sandbox, Super Serial. Ah, yeah. We don't have certificates. We are cheap. We are using Let's Encrypt. Sorry, telling company secrets. Oh, yay! And that would be all. I have a last slide with that's all, folks, but I won't bug Carol. If you have any questions, we'll move to the kitchen or whatever area. Thank you. And thank guys for the help with the Go CD setup before.
I've never managed. The last thing actually is we would like to ask you to fill the survey. If you could open this link and then answer 5 questions. 4 of them are just putting some stars to the presentation. And the last one is to get your feedback. Basically, it's an input comment box. So please tell us what you think about the whole meetup, as we want to improve and make it better. So if you could open this link now and answer the questions, would be awesome. And thank you very much for joining the meetup. It was a pleasure to have you here. And I hope that you will join the 3rd one and 4th one and all the rest of the remaining meetups. Thank you very much.